he'd been talking about going deer hunting, and I said, well, what do I need? What do I need to do to? He said, well, you sort of need somebody that knows what's going on to take you out there and so forth. So you need to go get a hunting permit. He told me where to go. Of course, I was working out there.
Right.
So I ran over there one day at lunch and got you had to show them your state hunting license, and I think it was like $3 to get a Fort Rucker hunting permit. So we spent the night with them that Friday night, and got up at 2 o'clock and headed out there. And it was first come, first served. They whenever you got there, if I remember correctly, they handed out numbers, so you didn't have to stand out in the cold until the clubhouse opened. And when it opened, everybody piled inside. They gave us a safety briefing, told us what to do and what not to do, and then loaded us up on the truck. And every 1/10 of a mile, they had a little sign nailed to a tree. They put you out at that sign, tell you not to get more than 10 yards from the sign. First thing I did was hit the woods. Someplace they put you out, there was a pine tree, and the only thing behind you was a big old open field where they had clear cut.
Right. You remember being excited when you first got off the truck and was standing around and waiting for them to turn the dogs out and stuff?
Yeah.
I bet the adrenaline was through the roof. What
Yeah.
kind of gun did you have?
I had that Frenchie.
Oh, so you already had the Frenchie?
Yeah, well, I guess it was our second wedding anniversary. Mom bought me that Frenchie. She worked in Social Security then, and the guy that she rode to work with, who lived like a half a block down the street from us, he helped her bought it from Gibson's, and they had it advertised for, I think it was like either 109 or 119. And so she went to get it, and they told her no, it was like 139. So she didn't buy it. She went back to work and told him what happened. He said, "Come on, let's go." So he went with her to Gibson's and got it for whatever that advertised price was.
So had you been hunting with it before, deer hunting with it? I mean, was that your first deer hunting trip?
Yeah, after I got it was when I started going deer hunting. I think that year I bird hunted with it.
Right.
There were several years when I worked with Hawthorne Aviation that the union negotiated an extra holiday, and it could be taken anytime during your birthday month. and the management folks got the benefit of that. Dove season came in September, so I always took off the opening day of dove season, and several years we had a dove hunt out at Mr. Woodall's.
Okay.
Donnell and Leon. Laverne wouldn't hunt. Laverne had been involved in an accident with Robert. He shot Robert's leg, and so Laverne didn't hunt for a long time, and so we'd have a big dove hunt out there. But you had been born in May, and I killed my first deer on, I think it was Thanksgiving Day, out at Fort Rucker. It was that little old 4-point.
Oh, so that was your first deer ever?
That was my first deer ever. I was standing there, and I had walked they put me off at a tree with a sign, and there was about 10 yards of planted pines, and then there was an open field behind it, and it sort of went down into a creek bottom where there was more woods. And I could hear the dogs off to my left, and I looked over my left, and here came the deer. And he ran. He was out in that open field. He just ran right by me, like 40 yards. He never saw me.
Right.
I popped him, and he fell over. It was Thanksgiving of '68.
So one shot and he was down, huh?
Yep, that's the way I remember it.
I think you said you ended up getting a new shotgun after just about every deer you killed with the French. You had to chase him.
Yeah. Then after that, Sib was friends with a bunch of hoodlums. They finally opened it up. When I first started hunting out there, the only way see the deer?
Yeah.
I went to C&D yesterday to make sure the fertilizer was there.
Yeah.
And there was 2 standing out there just looking around in C&D's yard. I asked Chris, I said, you feed the deer? And he said, well, they find stuff to eat around here. You know, we break a bag and don't do a good job cleaning it up. He said, I walked up on, I think he said 3 of them the other day, within about 6 yards.
Wow.
So then we got a young warrant officer in that was in the maintenance department. He was a pilot, but he was assigned to basically oversee the contractor department. He flew Chinooks, and he and I interfaced with Chinook issues and so forth, and he found out I deer hunted. And he had just come from Fort Eustis, where he deer hunted up there. So he wanted to know, how do you deer hunt at Rucker?
Right.
So I told him, what he needed to do. And about that time, they changed the rules. If you went on a dog drive as a civilian and you had a military sponsor, then you could hunt with that military sponsor the afternoon after, there's a dead deer.
Yeah.
After the dog drive.
Yeah.
So he started coming on the dog drive, and then he and I would go push heads in the afternoon. His name was Kurt Hisson. He showed up as a W-2. And within a month, he got a direct commission as a first lieutenant. And then a month later, he got promoted to captain.
How about that?
And we went from calling him Mr. to calling him captain pretty quickly. So that's where the head pushing started.
Was everybody else pushing heads too?
There was a few folks, but there was a lot of folks would literally climb a tree. I'm talking about climb a tree.
Right.
Sit on a limb, sit in a fork or
Right.
something. I know one place we used to go push ahead, we'd run into somebody that was sitting in the tree. In fact, we finally just quit going there because we knew that we'd aggravate somebody there. And then they changed the rules that said you didn't have to go on the dog drive. If you were a civilian and you had a military sponsor, you could go sign out with your military sponsor and hunt.
Right.
And he had a friend who was a warrant officer. His name was Cook. And Cook had 2 boys. And we hunted together a couple of years. And then there was a civilian that a GS civilian that hunted with us a while. He had a 10-gauge shotgun.
Yeah.
And if we killed anything, Cook would throw it in the back of the truck, take it home. Like, you're supposed to go sign this out and everything. He's like, I pay no attention to those regulations. He was a CW4.